Natimirandhasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatesha Tarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna and a warm welcome to all of you to today's discussion on the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chapter 5, the Glories of Lord Nityānanda Balarāma. So before I start, I'd like to welcome also especially Rachna ji, who's here for the first time. She is a mother of a classmate of Nimai, Tanush's mother. I knew her as that. So, and welcome Ishani. Hare Krishna. You're here for the first time in this house, on this floor. Yes. So welcome. You're on holiday?
Yeah, I have puja holidays right now.
Till when? Okay.
So I'll be flying.
Okay. Welcome. She's our star student. She's doing her master's right now in University of Calcutta. Yes. In modern history.
Modern history?
Yes. She's our authorized historian. Huh? Of the modern world. Yes, Hare Krishna, please come. And Param Kishore Prabhu and his family have made it all the way from Dwarka today. Huh? आप उस पे बैठिए. You sit on the couch. You can sit on that chair. Or sit there, that will be better. Yes. Huh? So whatever is comfortable. आप लोग थोड़ा आगे आ जाओ, the Prabhujis, so you can also थोड़ा सा आगे आ सकते हो. Today we have a lot of space. In the last 10 months, this is the lowest attendance we've had. Yes, usually we have minimum 30, but today we are around 18. Yes, so. Everyone, many of the devotees are traveling, so, but I thought it's not good to just stop. Because this chapter is a very important chapter, and it's a very technical chapter. Some of these concepts are a big challenge to our conditioned minds. So we'll be challenged, but Prabhupada also gives, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, they give the solution how we can deal with this challenge. Just 1 second. Tight करते हैं. ये ना थोड़ा हिल रहा है ज़्यादा, because now it's okay. Yes, now it's fine. Hare Krishna. Welcome all the way from Dwarka. So everyone kindly repeat after me. Just 1 second.
Recording in progress.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deha Karayena Chaitanya Varnana.
Jaya Jaya Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deha Karayena Chaitanya Varnana.
So last Saturday, His Holiness Bhakti Ashraf Vaishnav Maharaj, he started this chapter entitled The Glories of Lord Nityānanda Balarāma. And in the first few verses, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami reveals the identity of Lord Nityānanda. And also, he describes who Lord Balaram actually is. Because for many of us, Lord Balaram is a mystery. We are familiar with Krishna's pastimes, but we are not so familiar with who Lord Balaram is and what is his purpose, what is his identity, how does, where does he fit into the Lila. So he explains that Krishna and Balaram, they are the same. In text 5, Kaviraj Goswami, he reveals that Eka hi swarupa dhone bhinna matra kaya.
Eka hi swarupa dhone bhinna matra kaya.
Adya kaya vyuha Krishna Lila rasahaya.
Adya kaya vyuha Krishna Lila rasahaya.
The two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. So Lord Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna. So he is basically his duplicate form. But there is a slight difference. There are basically two differences. What are the two differences?
Complexion and the
Yeah.
heart.
Yes.
Save Bhagwan.
The complexion and the mood. So Balaram is, what's his complexion? Huh? Right. And Krishna's complexion? Right. And what is the mood of Lord Balaram?
Save Bhagwan.
Servitor. Okay. So this is very unique and amazing that sometimes people think or they accuse God that He is only Haribol Mama, you can sit here. You can sit here. People think that God is just an enjoyer. And He doesn't, He's totally disconnected from the world, our difficult reality. And does God really care? And what kind of a God is He if He's only just enjoying? So people sometimes accuse God that He's too disconnected from the reality of this world. But Krishna is so amazing that He expands Himself into two forms. One is the enjoyer and one is the servitor. So God is both the supreme enjoyer and the supreme sevak. So in the form of Balarāma, He is the supreme servitor Godhead. The God who is also the supreme sevak or the supreme servant. And how does He serve? It's going to be explained in this chapter. That how does God serve? What's His role in this whole creation, this whole cosmic manifestation? How does Lord actually serve us and everybody else? And then He says that this same Balarāma, right, he comes in the form of Lord Nityānanda. That is text number 6. Shri Krishna Navadipe Shri Chaitanya Chandra
Shri Krishna Navadipe Shri Chaitanya Chandra
Shri Balarāma Sange Shri Nityānanda
Shri Balarāma Sange Shri Nityānanda.
So that same Krishna who in Navadvip appears as Chaitanya Chandra, and who appears with him? Shri Balarāma Sange Shri Nityānanda. He appeared with Lord Balarāma appeared with Lord Chaitanya as Lord Nityānanda. And in the first and in text number 7, this is the first verse in this chapter that is from the original 14 verses in the first chapter. Last time Maharaj explained like the first 6 verses of the Mangala Charan in the first chapter are describing Lord Chaitanya, His identity, His purpose for coming, how He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now the next 5 verses are dedicated to explaining Lord Balarāma. And out of that, the first verse Maharaj discussed, that is text number 7. So incidentally, this is text number 7 in this verse, and it's also the text number 7 in the first chapter. It's a coincidence. So it's explained that Lord Nityānanda Ram, he's praying here that may Lord Nityānanda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. And Sankarshan, Seshanag and the 3 Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean and ocean of milk are His plenary portions and the portions of His plenary portions. So this was the original introduction of Lord Balarāma, that He has expanded Himself. How? In these 5 forms: Sankarshan, Seshanag and 3 Vishnus. And it will be further explained that how they play such an amazing role in this whole creation, and how they serve everyone in these forms.
Prabhuji, why it is written Lord Balaram is original Sankarshan? I mean, Sankarshan came from Balaram.
Yes, so he is so there are two Sankarshans. There is Sankarshan who further expands into Mahasankarshan. So there are two quadruple forms. Huh? So one is the original Sankarshan, and then there is a Mahasankarshan, who's the second Sankarshan.
But Balaramji is before that.
So he is the mool. That means he's the one who expands in as Sankarshan. So he is the original Sankarshan.
Okay. Because he expands himself as Sankarshan, so it is.
And then from him there is another, Mahasankarshan who comes. Okay. So this, I will actually send you the notes on these, because it has to be gone through many times over and over again till we get, because some of this is very technical. Spiritual technical knowledge. So he assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna, and Prabhupada explains in the purport that according to expert opinion, Balaram, as the chief of the original quadruple forms, is also the original Sankarshan. Balaram, the first expansion of Krishna, expands himself in 5 forms: Mahasankarshan, Karanadakshai, Garbhodakshai, and Shirodakshai, and 5 Sesha. This is in the purport to text 10. These 5 plenary portions are responsible for both the spiritual and material cosmic manifestations. In these 5 forms, Lord Balaram assists Lord Krishna in his activities. Hare Krishna. Are you all clear so far?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So this is what was covered last time. Okay. So this was the introductory verse explaining how Lord Balaram expands into these different forms. And the next few verses, it will be explained that how these forms, in the next 4 verses, it will be explained that how these forms, what is their role and how do they serve. So basically the next 4 verses, they support this verse, or they expand on this verse. They further expand on the knowledge, on the information given in this verse. So he says that if you read text number 12, it says, Saptama shloker artha kori chari shloke Jato Nityānanda tattva jane sarva loke. So this is amazing. Jato Nityānanda tattva. Whatever there is to know about the essence or the truth of Lord Nityānanda, everyone in sarva loke will know from these verses that he is going to share. So we'll recite text number 13. This is the second verse from the Mangala Charan. Mayatite vyapi vaikuntha loke Purna Ishvarya Shri Chatur Vyuha Modhe Rupam Yasyodbhati Sankarshanakyam Tam Shri Nityānanda Ramam Prapadyate. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityānanda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan in the midst of Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Lok, far beyond the material creation. So this is a verse from where Sri Swarup Damodar's Goswami's diary, and it appears as the 8th of the first 14 verses of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So now, who are these four personalities and what is their purpose? So basically these four personalities, Vasudeva is the expansion of whom? Krishna. And Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha are expansions of Lord Balarāma. And these four personalities, their role is in the maintenance of the spiritual world, and they also play a part in the material cosmic manifestation. So primarily they maintain everything in the spiritual world. And here, before they are described, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, what he does is that he explains what is the spiritual world, what are the characteristics of the spiritual world, and how does it differ from the material world in the next few verses, and how we can perceive the spiritual world. Right now the spiritual world is not accessible to us, to most of us, except for a few rare souls. It's not accessible to us. And most of us think we have a hard time even believing the description of the spiritual world, because it's so unlike the material world. And we, our doubting minds wonder that can such a place actually exist? But we are going to hear from Shastra, we hear in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and now Kaviraj Goswami is going to give us an explanation of the spiritual world. So basically these four personalities, there are two categories, or not two categories, you could say that there are two sets of these quadruple forms. Okay, one is in where? In Krishna Loka. Okay, and one is in the Vaikuntha planets. So one set of the quadruple form, they maintain everything in Krishna Loka. And the second set of the quadruple forms, they maintain everything in Vaikuntha.
And they also play a part in material.
Yes. So,
The first one or the second?
second.
Second one.
So, it's explained. I'll share with you some purports from there, which you should read, so you can get a better understanding. But there's not so much information exactly like how they're doing it, but there's a brief explanation of their role in the material world as well. Okay. So we're going to explain this. So you can close the door, Mataji, just not fully, but just, yes. So now from text 14 onwards, Kaviraj Goswami is going to explain what the nature of the spiritual world is. So we'll recite this verse and what it's called. Text number 14. Prakritira para para vyoma name dhama.
Prakritira para para vyoma name dhama.
Krishna vigrahayai cha vibhuti adi gunavan.
Krishna vigrahayai cha vibhuti adi gunavan.
So beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyoma, or the spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes such as the 6 opulences. So we'll go over the verses first and then we'll discuss the points mentioned in the purports. So now this spiritual sky, it's called the Vaikuntha region. It's explained that it's all pervading, it's infinite and supreme in text number 15. And this is where the Lord resides with his incarnations. And in the highest region of that spiritual sky is the spiritual planet called Krishna Loka. So there's a beautiful piece of art that's done to depict the spiritual world and the material world. I don't know if you've seen the... So I'll just send you and you can see in this... Yes, so I'm just forwarding you on the group. You can open this, so you'll be able to understand more clearly when you see this depiction. You've seen this poster before? So now if you look, if you expand this and you look where it says Krishna Swarup Shakti. Can you see that?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And then it says Golok Vrindavan. Can you see Golok Vrindavan?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Under that Mathura Dham
Yes.
and under that Dwarka Dham. So this is what it's explained here. Text number 16. Tahara upari bhage Krishna loga khyati. Dwarka Mathura Gokula Trividhatva Sthiti. So this highest region in the spiritual sky, this is called Krishna Lok. And it has 3 divisions. What are those 3 divisions? Dwarka, Mathura and Gokul. And this Gokul is known by different names. It's also known as Vraj Dham. It's known as Golok. It's known as Shvetva and it's also known as Vrindavan. So Vaikuntha is separate, right? It's another part of the spiritual world, but now we're talking about the topmost part of the spiritual world. This is where the Lord performs his pastimes. So he performs his pastimes in how many places? 3 places. Dwarka, Mathura and Gokul.
And in all these 3 places, he is in different age.
Yes. And this Gokul is known by what kind of names?
Vraja, Gokul, Golok, Shwetdeep and Vrindavan.
Yes. And just like the transcendental body of Krishna, Gokul is all pervading, infinite and supreme. It expands both above and below without any restriction. So it's not that this dham is restricted to a certain place in the spiritual sky. It's explained that it can expand both above and below. Not only that, this dham can manifest where? It can also manifest in this world. So when the Lord appears, what happens? His dham accompanies him and it manifests in this world as well. So this is a movable dham. In 19 it's explained that the abode is manifested within the material world by the will of the Lord, by the will of Lord Krishna. So what makes it movable? The will of the Lord. By the will of the Lord, He can transport the spiritual world to the material world. And does it become less potent when it manifests in the material world? No. It is as potent. It says it is identical. Ek hi swarupa tare nahi dui kaya. There's no difference. It's not that there are two bodies, there are one body manifesting in different places. And that land is also called Chintamani. It's a touchstone, and it's abound with forests, with desire trees. But material eyes see it as an ordinary place. So even the manifestation of the Lord's spiritual realm in this world, it is compared to a touchstone. But we can't see it with our material eyes.
When we say material eyes, so that means with material consciousness.
Yes, material eyes means with material consciousness. So how can we see it? Do we have a chance to see it?
By purifying ourselves. By purifying.
Yes, so let's recite verse number 21. प्रेम नेत्र देखी तारा स्वरूप प्रकाश गोप गोपी संगे जन कृष्ण रविलास. Let's recite this verse again. प्रेम नेत्र देखी तारा स्वरूप प्रकाश गोप गोपी संगे जन कृष्ण रविलास. So how can we see the real identity? With the eyes of love of Godhead. Prema netra dekhi. So when our eyes are anointed with the salve of love of God, then we are able to see the Swarupa Prakash. We are able to see the true identity of the Lord's spiritual realm. And what does He do? What Krishna does? Krishna performs His pastimes with His cowherd boys and cowherd girls.
It's quite similar to Brahma.
Yes. Premanjana charito bhakti vilochanena. So similar, everything that Kaviraj Goswami says it is from either from Srimad Bhagavatam or from other revealed scriptures. So now, there are many purports to these verses, and I want to go through these wonderful points that Srila Prabhupada makes in these purports. Okay. So the first point Prabhupada makes in text number 14, the purport to text number 14, he says that according to Sankhya philosophy, they describe the creation in terms of 24 elements. And what are those 24 elements? Does anyone know? Okay. So there are 5 gross elements. What are they? Earth, water, fire, air and sky. Then there are 3 subtle elements. Mind, body, mind, intelligence and ego. Right? False ego. Then there are 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Okay. How do we acquire knowledge? Through which senses? Ears,
nose, skin, and
tongue. Yes. So these are our 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Then there are 5 working senses. Hands, legs, then ears, what else? Genitals and anus. And then there are the 5 objects of our senses. Like we want to touch something, right? We want to smell something. We want to taste something. Right? We want to see a form. We want to see something. Yes, and we want to hear some pleasant sounds. So those are the objects of the senses. So 15 plus 8, right? So we're 23. And then there is the Mahatattva. That is all the material elements combined together. They're all in the Mahatattva. This, I think it's the ears. One second. It's mouth, yes. So thank you. Yes, thank you for correcting that. So working senses is actually explained. It's the tongue for speaking, related to the mouth. Okay. So hands, legs, tongue, genitals and anus. So genitals for reproduction, anus for evacuation, right? Legs for walking, hands for holding, grasping, and the tongue for speaking. Okay. So now Sankhya says that that's all there is to the creation. Right? You have all these material elements, and then you have the 5 working senses and the knowledge acquiring senses, and you just try to enjoy the objects of the senses, and that's what life is. And then when this body is finished, it's all over. So this is how most empiricists, those who believe that only that which is observable can be real. Right? For them, this is all that there is. As long as we have the ability, we have the working senses, and we have all these other knowledge acquiring senses, and we try and enjoy the objects of the senses. That's what life is. Actually, if you analyze, this is what it is. In the material world, without any spiritual desire or practice, what is material life? It's just a function of these things. In various ways, we're utilizing these to make progress materially or enjoy materially. But they don't believe that there's a spiritual reality. And Prabhupada describes that there is, beyond the manifested and unmanifested existence of material nature, is a Sanatan nature which is called the Paravyoma or the spiritual sky. Since that nature is spiritual in quality, there is no qualitative differences there. Everything is spiritual, everything is good, and everything possesses the spiritual form of Sri Krishna himself. So this is the amazing quality of the spiritual world. What is it? It possesses the same spiritual form of Sri Krishna. So it is eternal, it is full of knowledge, and it's full of bliss.
That means everything there is Satchitananda.
Yes, everything. But it's described that every word is like a song, right? And every step is like a dance. And it's full of these desire trees. And everything is everything is in perfect unison, in the sense that there is no lack of cooperation, there's no there's no fights, there's no quarrels. And what's the reason for that? Because everyone is centered on what?
Serving.
Yes, on serving and pleasing Krishna. And the spiritual sky is the manifested internal potency of Sri Krishna. Internal potency. Right? So it is distinct. Internal potency is not only Srimati Radharani. She is the pleasure-giving potency of the internal potency. Okay? Internal potency is what? There are three components of the... Yes, yes. All three. They form the internal potency. And therefore it is distinct from the material sky, manifested by his external potency. So the material world is manifested by his external potency, and the spiritual sky is manifested by his internal potency. Okay. And in the spiritual world, there is no need for electricity, there is no need for lights. Okay. Why? It is self-effulgent. And what is it that is making that so bright?
The rays coming from Krishna's body.
Yes. So Krishna's bodily effulgence is lighting up the spiritual world. All the Vaikuntha planets and Krishna Loka, and all the other dhams within the spiritual world, like Ayodhya Dham, they are brightened or they are lit up by Krishna's bodily effulgence.
Will be compared as sun in this material.
Yes, so Prabhupada describes that in this. He says that we can get some idea of that spiritual sky by a comparison to the material sky. For the rays of the sun in the material sky can be compared to the Brahma Jyoti, the glowing rays of the personality of Godhead. And who lives in the spiritual sky? Krishna's innumerable plenary portions, and the portions of his plenary portions dominate each Vaikuntha planet. So all the Lord's incarnations, the Lord's Narayan forms, right, they all exist in the spiritual planets. And in the purport to text number 18, Jiva Goswami explains that the abodes of Godhead in the material world, such as Dwarka, Mathura and Gokul, are facsimiles representing the abodes of Godhead in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha Dham. So what we see in this world are replicas of, we see replicas of Vrindavan, we see replicas of Mathura, and we see replicas of Dwarka. And they have the same potency that the spiritual, that the Lord's spiritual realm, they have. Right? It's the same potency. And it's explained that the Brahma Samhita states that Gokul, the highest region of the kingdom of God, resembles a lotus flower with thousands of petals. The outer portion of that lotus-like planet is a square place known as Shvetwadvip. So, Vrindavan, what's the shape of Vrindavan? It's like a lotus flower, lotus petal. And it's explained that, so when the Lord comes to this world and is performing his pastimes, sometimes we see he is coming from, say, Gokul to Vrindavan. It's so many miles apart, right? So how are they commuting? At that time they didn't have these cars, and right? So how would they commute so easily? Yeah, so the petal would close. Right? So the dham would facilitate these pastimes by expanding and contracting, just like the lotus leaves of a lotus flower do. They open and they close. So you're away from your house in South Close, right? Now suppose you were seated on a lotus petal. Now this closes. Right? So on one side of the lotus petal is closed TCS, and here it's Aspen Green. And if it closes, it brings both together. Right? So distance becomes closer.
I have this question always, so it's answered.
So Prabhupada writes, from the authoritative evidence cited by Jiva Goswami, we may conclude that Krishna Lok is the supreme planet in the spiritual sky, which is far beyond the material cosmos. For the enjoyment of transcendental variety, the pastimes of Krishna, there are three divisions, and these pastimes are performed in three abodes: Dwarka, Mathura, Gokul. When Krishna descends to this universe, he enjoys the pastimes in places of the same name. These places on earth are non-different from those original abodes, for they are facsimiles of those original holy places in the transcendental world. They are as good as Sri Krishna himself and equally worshipable. Lord Chaitanya declared that Lord Krishna, who presents himself as the son of the king of Raj, is worshipable, and that Vrindavan Dham is equally worshipable. And as I shared with you in the next purport, it's explained that how these dhams are movable. By the will of the Lord, they appear on this earth, and that we shouldn't discriminate between the dhams on the earth and those in the spiritual sky, thinking those on the earth to be material and the original abodes to be spiritual. Prabhupada writes, all of them are spiritual. And it is for us, Prabhupada writes, only for us who cannot experience anything beyond matter in our present conditioned state. So, in our present conditioned state, can we experience, the spiritual sky? We can't. And it is for us, do the dhams and the Lord himself in his archer form appear before us, resembling matter, to give us the facility to see spirit with material eyes. My God, this is so beautifully Prabhupada is describing that we are being given the facility to see the spiritual reality with material eyes.
That is why Srila Prabhupada says that all these temples are victim.
Yes. In the beginning, this may be difficult for a neophyte to understand, but in due course, when one is advanced in devotional service, it will be easier, and he will appreciate the Lord's presence in these tangible forms. So initially it is hard to relate that how can the Lord be present in this material forms, made out of wood, anashta dhatu, metal, and other different forms. So how can the Lord be present? It's difficult for us to see in our conditioned state. And this is, now Prabhupada describes that some of the challenges that we face and why we are not able to see this spiritual reality. What is it that stops us from seeing the spiritual reality? So now we're going to go back to purport 14. And Prabhupada mentions many amazing things. He says, he starts with saying, to a gross materialist, this kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, is certainly a mystery. And then Prabhupada says, but to any ignorant person, everything is a mystery. Due to a lack of sufficient knowledge, for an ignorant person, everything is a mystery. And Prabhupada explains that even this material creation, how much do we really know? We hardly know anything even of this material creation. What to talk about the spiritual sky and its reality. There's so many things we're discovering, and it's not possible to discover even the reality of this material world, because the universes are constantly expanding. So even this one universe, we have not been able to figure it out yet. We've got a long way to go. Prabhupada says this planet Earth is but an insignificant spot in the cosmic structure. Yet foolish people, puffed up by a false sense of scientific advancement, have concentrated their energy in the pursuit of so-called economic development on this planet, not knowing the variegated economic facilities available on other planets. So Prabhupada writes that maybe in the future there will come a time where there will be technology to go to other planets within this universe, and people will be able to see the variety that's available in these planets. So far we think that there's no real variety.
I think online guys, they have lost connection.
Then Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. He says that just think the fruit of a banyan tree. It has so many seeds in there. And then within each seed, what is the potential lying in each seed?
The
Big
complete
banyan
tree.
tree.
A huge banyan tree. So just imagine how much potency that tiny seed has. And there are so many other examples of that in this material world that point to the potency of the spiritual reality, or the potency of the Supreme Lord. That if that small seed has so much potential, so what to talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His reality. Now Prabhupada says that what's our real disease? What's the real disease of the modern man? It says it is the disbelief of everything in the revealed scriptures. So Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, these are all mythology. Right? Just write them off, learn some good stories from them, write some good lessons. But ultimately, it's all a myth. These are not like real people. These are just some fictitious personalities, created by these great authors and munis. They've written these great epics and Puranas. It's all their wonderful creation, imagination. Faithless non-believers cannot make progress in spiritual realization, for they cannot understand the spiritual potency. So we discussed this example of the... Now Prabhupada says that everything in fact is inconceivable, for the truth is revealed only to proper persons. So how will we understand the truth? Can we just demand that we understand the truth? Can we just say, no, I should be able to see God, I should be able to see the spiritual sky? Can we experience that reality just by demanding? Or is there anything like, say for example, if I say that I want to perform this operation of a critical person in this hospital, this prestigious hospital, will I be allowed to perform that operation? Will the hospital allow me to perform the operation? Or if I just sit here and say that Donald Trump he's going crazy, I need to talk to him. He should appear here so I can make some sense to him. Will Donald Trump say, yeah, you're so important, I'll just appear right here. I'll take the next flight and be here. No? It's not going to happen. But we have to qualify ourselves. So, for everything in this material world requires some type of qualification. But for spiritual reality, there shouldn't be any qualification. Is that fair? For spiritual knowledge, when it comes to spiritual knowledge, when you get old, you can figure it out. It's so difficult to figure out anything as the body goes older. What to talk about the spiritual reality? It's impossible to figure out almost anything as the body ages. But people think, no, spiritual reality should be reserved for the last run, the last portion of life. We should open the Ramayana or the Mahabharata or the Gita. And what is the likelihood we will understand that, anything of that spiritual reality? Very little. Very little chance of understanding anything unless we have been trained in the spiritual culture. I mean, even after studying for so many years, sometimes when you study all these purports, it's not that easy. And okay, we are all mid-age now. Some little more than mid-age, but is it easy to assimilate this knowledge? It takes a lot of effort. It's not that easy to understand, how Lord Balarāma is expanding into the Chaturvyuha, and the Chaturvyuha is, there's a second set of Chaturvyuha, and all these descriptions of the spiritual world, and so many things. Even basic spiritual knowledge about the soul, it's not that easy to understand. We become so attached to the body. Throughout our life, everything we do is centered around fulfilling the needs of the body. So as we get older, how are we going to understand the spiritual reality? Because we become so attached to this body. Prabhupada said, although there are varieties of personalities, from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, all of whom are living entities, their development of knowledge is different. Therefore, we have to gather knowledge from the right source. Indeed, in reality, we can get knowledge only from the Vedic sources. The 4 Vedas and their supplementary Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and their corollaries, which are known as Smritis, are all authorized sources of knowledge. If we want to gather knowledge, we must gather it from these sources without hesitation. And then Prabhupada makes a very, very important point. He says that this knowledge in these scriptures, who is it accepted by? Or who is it confirmed by? Yes, by our great acharyas. And were they very knowledgeable?
Yes.
Were they very exemplary? Were they very evolved souls?
Yes.
Like all our great acharyas, you take Ramanujacharya, Shankaracharya, and Vishnu Swami, Madhvacharya. All these great acharyas, they accepted the scriptures. All saintly people throughout history, they have accepted these scriptures. Some of the most brilliant minds, they have accepted this scripture. So they have been not only authorized, but they have lived these scriptures and shown by their personal example the reality of these scriptures. In one verse later on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explains that the truth of religion, how is it established? It's established by the behavior of the devotee. If we didn't have genuine sadhus in the world, would there be any chance of believing in scripture? What would attest to the reality of the scripture? It is the behavior and the example of these great acharyas that says, whatever is being said here, we can see it here. We can see it in this personality. And this same personality is describing the reality in these scriptures. So if you personally ask me, all this logic, everything, for me personally, the greatest proof of the reality present in the scriptures are the examples of our acharyas. I remember I had so many, as a student in college in the US, when I was going through the Gita and the Bhagavatam, so much of it, it just appeared so fantastical. It's like just going over the head, because we are so conditioned with this material reality. All we think is, real is, the buildings that we see, the people that we see, the careers that we have ahead of us, all our family planning and material wealth and our reputation. These are the only things we are concerned about. But now we're being presented with a spiritual reality, and it challenges everything that we grew up and aspire for. So Prabhupada writes, the perfect knowledge propounded in the revealed scriptures is confirmed by the great acharyas who have left ample commentaries upon them. None of these acharyas ever disbelieved in the Shastras. One who disbelieves in Shastras is an atheist, and we should not consult an atheist, however great he may be. And then Prabhupada writes that such knowledge may be inconceivable in the beginning, but as we follow the process to understand this knowledge, then this knowledge becomes revealed to us. The truth, the spiritual reality starts to be revealed to us. And then Prabhupada writes in purport number 20. So this is the last thing we'll discuss. He says, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a great acharya in the preceptorial line of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has said for our benefit that one can perfectly see the dhams only when one completely gives up the mentality of lording it over material nature. One's spiritual vision develops proportionately to one's giving up the debased mentality of unnecessarily enjoying matter. And that's why we have to take the treatment given to us by the expert physicians who are our acharyas. And that will prepare us, or that will qualify us to perceive the spiritual reality. And Prabhupada ends, he says that foolish persons engrossed in their material assets are unnecessarily proud of being leaders of the people, but they ignore the spiritual value of man. Such illusion leaders make plans covering any number of years, but they can hardly make humanity happy in a state conditioned by the threefold miseries inflicted by material nature. One cannot control the laws of nature by any amount of struggling. One must at last be subject to death, nature's ultimate law. Death, birth, old age and illness are symptoms of the diseased condition of the living being. And then Prabhupada ends, he says the highest aim of human life should therefore be to get free from these miseries and go back home, back to Godhead. So all our material endeavors, all the endeavors by all the great leaders who put their hopes in the material energy, what is going to happen ultimately? Are they going to be able to keep people happy in this world? He says no. Because we will always be inflicted by the threefold miseries and birth, death, old age and disease. And no matter how much we plan, no matter how much technology we may innovate and create, it's not going to solve the real longing of the soul. So in these beautiful verses, Kaviraj Goswami described the nature of the spiritual world and how it's divided into the topmost portion of that is divided into three abodes of the Lord where He performs His pastimes. Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka. So we will stop here today. If you have any questions or any realizations you'd like to share, do now. Yes. This one, okay, you go.
Can you explain more on completely giving up the mentality of lording you over material nature? What exactly it is in the practical sense?
So lording over material nature means to try to be the controller and to try to be the enjoyer of everything in this world. So we maybe try this whole idea of, so we have this material manifestation. So our tendency to be the controller and to be the enjoyer of this material world, right? As long as we have that tendency, then we are stuck. We cannot access the spiritual reality because we have not understood the reality of this material world. If we understand the reality of this material world and why we are here, then we won't want to enjoy this material world. Because ultimately, the material nature is not meant for enjoyment. it definitely has all the ingredients for good sustenance. But as the scriptures advise us that we should take whatever is necessary to keep our body and soul together and focus on our spiritual growth. And if we really analyze the body, to maintain the body doesn't require much. But because we have been conditioned to believe that this is the all in all reality, just try and make it in this world, try to enjoy as much, you have a brief lifetime. They don't really believe, like Sankhya philosophy doesn't believe in the soul. So all you have is your 80 years or 70 years, maybe even 20 years today, right, for some. So as long as you're breathing, try to live it up. Try to be the enjoyer. Try to be the controller. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? So enjoy it while it lasts. So that's the lording over mentality. Controller, trying to be the controller. Lording means what? When you are trying to be the lord of all you can survey. So you want to be the controller. Why? Because you want to be the enjoyer. So you can enjoy even more. Aham Ishvara, Aham Bhogi, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. This is a symptom of whom? Of people with demoniac mentality. This is in the chapter Divine and Demoniac Natures.
Whatever different roles we play in this lifetime, so if that role requires us to play the part of the controller or sometimes in the professional space, so how do we perceive that on this context?
So we do it as a duty. It's like, if you are a senior person in a company or you're a proprietor of your own firm, you have to manage. You have to give orders, you have to dictate, you have to set the agenda, set the vision and the mission. You have to follow up strongly. Realizing that this is temporary. This is not the real goal of life. We're doing it because we have a certain nature, that we've got this training, we've got this education, now we're in this, in this role. But this role is a temporary role. And this role ultimately should help me facilitate my spiritual growth. And making that role the be all and end all, that would not be good. It's important, but it's not the most important. We do it with care, attention, with responsibility, but we're not going to just forget our spiritual goals because of our work. We have to try to align both. And sometimes we may be in a company that it's very difficult to align those goals. Like say if you're in like a liquor company. I know a devotee who works for the liquor company. So he also just does it as a duty. But for some it may be too difficult. Suppose you have to promote liquor, which is against the principles of one of the four legs of dharma. Right? So it may not align properly with your spiritual life. So you may decide, okay, maybe I should take a role in another company.
So basically the end goal has to be very clear and as per the instructions of the acharyas, and whatever it makes to reach that goal based on the whatever responsibilities we have and the roles we have to play in the society. So that that way we need to make sure that we are not in that controlling state.
Yes. So always remind ourselves that I remember whenever I used to go enter the office, I used to look at my chair. So I used to remind myself that I get all this respect because of this chair, not because of today. If I'm out of here, so don't get so hung up with that position. You may be the CEO, you may be the director, but that's temporary. And you do your best. You try to do a good job in whatever your responsibilities are. You take care of your team, but beyond that, we have to move on eventually. Even if you want to stay there permanently, you can't. Okay? So yes, especially when you are a grihastha, when we are as grihastha, these are important duties. But they are not the be all and end all of life. They're part of the journey. And we do our best without selling our souls. Yes? Okay. And one thing that Arjun also, Krishna reminds Arjun that what mood we should do our services is that we are just an instrument in the Lord's hands. The more we feel like that, then we can do our duties in the right consciousness. Nimittam. Yes, Mansi.
Yes, Guruji. One question was related to this controlling mentality, something, so that we have already answered. Another thing, like you said, we cannot see the dham of the Lord in reality with in our conditioned state. But why not allow some degraded things to happen in His own home? Why He allows Kali to enter in His own home also? I mean, some degraded things also happens. It's Lord's own home and something beyond imagination.
So that's His inconceivable plan. It's difficult to conceive. Why is this happening in the dham, and why is this, all these atrocities or really, crazy things happen in the dham. They have happened. People have, in the past, a lot of unbelievable things have happened, and some things are happening now. So it's difficult to understand that, because in Kali, as the time progresses, the dhams become more and more covered over. There's a nature of time in Kali Yuga, right, that the dhams will become covered over. It'll be difficult to see the spiritual reality. So while we are able to still see it, we should take advantage of it. And there are many portions of the dham where that spiritual reality is still present, or still clearly evident. And there are some portions where maybe not so evident, looking like a marketplace, for so much transactions and commercial things happening, and some unimaginable things happening also. So, but some of the behavior of the people over there who are living there, that also sometimes disturbs our minds. How can these people live in the dham? How can they be dham vasis, Vraj vasis? But so that's why we have to always read such verses to remind us of the potency of the dham.
In the similar context, I remember when Maharaj Parikshit was in that forest when he got hungry. So actually, Maharaj Parikshit was a very controlled and surrendered soul. And then the Prabhupada mentioned in that whatever happened there, It was just to facilitate the advent of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes.
So it's all by the will of the Lord. So maybe I'm not that much, but whatever happens in the Dham also maybe it's all by the will of the Lord.
Yes. And some things are, the Lord facilitates other people's wills. Yes, Mataji.
Totally like you said that Krishna and Balarāma are the same. Krishna expands himself in the form of Balarāma so that he can enjoy that mood of servitorship. So, but we can see that being Krishna, he also serves Pandavas, like he became the chariot driver of Arjuna, and in Rajya. So here also he serves devotees by becoming shoe cleaner. So how can we understand?
Yes, so definitely it's not that he's only just enjoying and that's just playing his flute and dancing, but when he comes to this world, he also performs many duties and he does lots of services. But in his original form as a coward boy, he's in his Swayam Roop. He is just enjoying. That's one of the things that makes him God. We all want to enjoy, but we can't. For a few minutes, for one day, few days, but not beyond that. Maybe we can take a year off, but in that year we can be sure that we'll get fever or we'll get some disease, most likely. So we want to be the enjoyer, but we can't. And this is one of the